The month of June can look very different depending on where you are in the country. If we're up north, things are just starting to warm up and get reliable for us with warm nighttime temperatures and the soil getting warm. If we're growing in the south, it's already excruciatingly hot. But what really June marks is the beginning of summer. At June 20th is our summer solstice, so you gardeners, mark it on the calendar. That marks the longest day of the year. So the days are going to get very subtly, progressively shorter, and the sun is going to be subtly a little less strong. So when I am doing my calculations for when my crop is expected to mature, I am going to add about a week to 2 weeks because I know that my crops are growing a little bit slower after that summer solstice date. Number one on our list is green beans. Now, if you're growing up north into the middle of the country, even getting into the moderate south, green beans are perfect for planting in June. So I suggest a Blue Lake bush, still available on the site. The dragon's tongue bean is one of my favorites. It's also still on the site. Now, if you're growing in the deep south, it's already getting into almost triple digits by June, and it's just really hot for a traditional green bean. So I suggest that you pivot and switch to long beans. Long beans are actually botanically a cowpea, but they can be eaten when they're young and immature. They can be eaten just like a green bean, and they're super heat tolerant. I'm going to say they're heat loving. I'm going to suggest the Chinese long noodle bean, the red one. That one's still available on the site. I hope you run over to Rare Seeds and check it out, because that one's going to get you through that really hot summer. For most growers in most parts of the country, it is definitely not too late to plant corn. We've got the beautiful glass gem popcorn available on our site. Now, if you're getting into the deep south, it's a little late for corn, I gotta be honest with you. But for most parts of the country, it's a perfect time to plant corn. Next up on my list is cucumbers. Cucumbers are the most refreshing snack for when it gets hot in the summer, so getting them in June is perfect. If you're growing up north, no problem. Throw in the early fortune cucumber, the China jade cucumber, or the lemon cuke. Those are all still available on the site, and they're going to grow beautifully. They're going to be so happy to get in the soil now that it's really, really warm. Now, if you're growing in the deep south, it is a little late for cucumbers. So if we're growing super deep south, we're going to switch to something like the Armenian yard-long cucumber. It's not technically a cucumber, but it's eaten just like a cucumber. It tastes just like a cucumber. The only exception is that it's way more heat tolerant. So let's try something that's actually going to love our weather if we're growing in the super deep south. June marks a weather change from cooler spring weather to hot summer weather. And so we're going to rely on different kinds of greens for the summer months. So planting in June, I suggest Swiss chard because it can take cool weather and it can take hot weather. It's an excellent variety that's going to grow well across the board. Just don't plant it in the super deep south. Swiss chard's not going to do so well down there. But if you're in most of the country, Swiss chard's great to plant in June. Swiss chard varieties that we still have available would be a variety called Vulcan, and also we have the 5-color silver beet, which is a rainbow Swiss chard. So we have lots of varieties. I love Swiss chard. It's got that spinachy flavor. Really great when it's picked young and eaten tender, or if you let it mature. It's a great cooking green, so it's super versatile. And just a side note, if you are in the super deep south and you're looking for a green that you can plant in June, your options are fairly limited because it is going to be so hot. Most greens are not going to be happy. But if you try something like an edible leaf hibiscus or longevity or Okinawan spinach, those aren't things that we typically start from seed, but you should be able to find them at your local nurseries. I just want to make sure that I didn't leave out you super southern gardeners. I know you want your greens too. Now, if we want to talk about a super reliable choice for June across the board, that would be okra. Okra is going to be perfect when sowed in June, no matter if you're up north and it's just started to reliably warm up, or if you're down south where it's getting blazing hot. Okra is going to power through your summer beautifully. Everyone's favorite crop, watermelon, is perfect for planting in June. The soil is finely warmed if you're up north, and if you're down south, watermelon loves heat. So you've got lots of options with the watermelons, and it's really not too hot just about anywhere. Maybe if you were in deep south in Florida, it might be a little too late, but pretty much anywhere you can plant your watermelon. Now, we can't leave out the herbs. I love basil, and June is an excellent month to plant basil. So if we're growing in the deep south, try something like Thai basil. It adores heat. Thai basil is actually going to grow anywhere around the country right now. It loves to be planted in June. It's excellent in stir fries. I love wrapping these into spring rolls, and they're highly aromatic. There are some delightful flowers that are just perfect when they're planted in June. I love zinnias. We have quite a few zinnia varieties left on the site. Sunflowers are excellent to plant in June. If you're growing in the deep south, it's not too late to plant 4-o'clocks. 4-o'clocks can take an incredible measure of heat. You also might try the Mexican sunflower. We've got a beautiful red Mexican sunflower, Latin name Tithonia, that'll also stand up to a lot of heat. So there you have it. Those are our top crops to sow during the month of June under the beautiful strawberry moon. And we hope that you have a great gardening season, happy and healthy. And remember, it's just the beginning. You have so much gardening time throughout this season. So happy gardening and take care.